Hi, this is Robert Scardina. This is my CTE timeline for week number 1. I thought I would give a little bit of a verbal explanation of how this timeline will progress during this presentation. So let's get started. So first, historical events leading to CTE really started with the Industrial Revolution. Uh, People needed skilled workers and needed to provide training so they could get out their product. Leaders in legislation leading to the progression of CTE. Let's start out in 1862. Politician Justin Smith Morrill provided funding for land-grant colleges, which were established to provide education in ag, engineering, and other practical fields. Next, we have the Smith-Hughes Act of 1917. This seems like the first time you're seeing vocational education in high schools. And it's also the first time vocational education is a legitimate part of the American education system. Now, most importantly, I think still to this day, we have the Carl D. Perkins Vocational and Technical Education Act. This legislation provided federal funding for CTE programs at a secondary and a post-secondary levels. It also established a system of performance standards and accountability for these programs. This is where certifications start to take place. This is where people are being evaluated on their work across the board as a nation. Mr. Perkins passed away in 1984, but he was a big advocate for these kinds of programs throughout his career in politics. He's from Kentucky, really wanted to help people with lower incomes get an education and employment that they deserved. CTE philosophies. These are over the 15 years I've taught career and technical education, these are some of the philosophies that I've kind of thought about over the years. And I think the first one here is finding the correct career path. I think I said this in a discussion post. Sometimes I'm a culinary teacher. Students want to get into the culinary arts, and then they decide it's not for them. And that's okay. They didn't put any money into it or time, so this is a good way for them to figure out what career they want to take. Next, honing students' pathway with work-based learning. I feel this is so important. You can be in a classroom and create scenarios, but until you're really part of the workforce, you won't understand how it works. Next, proper certifications for designated trades. In this day and age, 2023, students in any program need a national certification. Do I agree with all these certifications? In some respects I do, in some I don't, but these are so important to get a student right out of high school employed and being part of the workforce. Next, preparing students for the workforce. If you see this is in red, and honing students' pathway is also is part of this. They go hand in hand. Students need to know how to show up, be accountable, and work with other people. And lastly, opportunities for lower income students. I work in a county where there is a lot of poverty, and I feel like these career and technical programs give these people a fair shake in education. A lot of their parents can't afford college. They can't afford any of these things. So in the high school setting, these students can get certifications and start in a great entry-level job once they're out of the program. And lastly, this is a paper I read by Kinga N. Jacobson, but I really liked her philosophy here, so I'm going to read it. Career and technical education prepares learners with diverse backgrounds and experiences for gainful employment and lifelong learning via proactive mentality and a flexible, practical approach. It provides technical and academic skills needed for career success, playing a foundation role in the overall betterment in society in the economy. And I want to get back to the academic skills really quick. I think in a classroom setting, especially with math, I have seen in other programs, especially machine tool, building construction, uh, students just get a better understanding of math skills when they are in a work environment. They see it, it's visual, and I just think it's a great thing. Development in CTE. As you can see here, we started with the Industrial Revolution, and now we're working all the way towards the end, which is STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. At some point, I think they actually put arts in there, and it's called STEAM. I'm not sure, but anyways, let's move on to the next slide. All right, let's see how CTE has developed over the years. In the past, you see on the left, we have an auto mechanics teacher, and we have some farmers on the left. And as we go all the way to the right to the present, once again, back into this science, technology, engineering, and math, and computers. They play such an important role in almost every aspect of career and technical education. If you're an HVAC teacher, you need to know a lot about technology and engineering. Auto mechanics, same thing. A lot of these cars have motherboards and things. There is a lot of computer-based applications even in auto mechanics. So I've also noticed that these accelerated programs in our school, AP students, which back in the day you would have not seen in, I guess you would call them honor students, AP, whatever you call it, wherever you are. These AP programs are in career and technical education now. I think also work-based learning has become a big part of development. Students get to go out and work and receive credit for the class working in industry. And lastly, completer certifications, which are so important for students to complete a program so they'll be ready for the workforce. I don't think you saw that as much back in the day. Seems like this goes back to the Perkins grant where you're accountable and there is a designated curriculum for each class so everybody's learning the same thing. So I hope this gave a little bit better explanation of the CTE timeline with me trying to explain it. Here are my references. At the top here, there's a Principles of Career and Technical Education. This is a paper someone wrote that I found online, Kinga Jacobson. It's only like 5 pages. It's pretty well written, very informative. Anyways, thank you so much.